Andrei, cos'è l'arte?
Короче говоря, мне кажется, что для того, чтобы строить любую концепцию, в частности, взгляд на искусство, следует прежде всего ответить на другой вопрос, гораздо более важный и общий. Вообще, зачем человек живет? В чем смысл человеческого существования?
You have to listen to the image and to look at the sound, if I may say so, and to use it more like in the music or in the painting. That's funny because in movies you ask to movies a certain amount of things which you never ask to poetry or to paintings or to music. I wonder why.
کسی میگفتش که عشق نتیجه سوء تفاهمه و ما میریم برای اینکه سوء تفاهم بکنیم. وقتی به تفاهم میرسیم، وقتی واقعا درک میکنیم، اون موقع عشق در واقع به زوال میرسه دیگه، پایان عشقه.
You have it fairly clearly in your head, I suppose that's enough. You shoot according to what is in your head rather than what's on paper. Yeah. I think a director is fascinated not only by theme or subject matter, but also by certain visual aspects of a story. I'm interested in recreating the past in the visual aspect of opulence, for instance. That fascinates me very much.
I think if you can tell the story, what this film is about, in more or less 30 seconds or a minute, less than a minute, then you've probably got something, because everything else after that is enlargement. This film is about boom.
I don't think you ever know things are going to work out in any endeavor in life, but certainly not in a movie. And you can make a movie exactly the way you imagine it without compromise and have it go out and fail in the marketplace because of some fundamental disconnect between you as an artist and the audience out there. And of course, that's what we all ultimately fear as filmmakers. We don't fear the fact that it's going to rain and ruin a day's shooting. We fear the fact that our kind of filter for what works for us emotionally in terms of what excites us on the screen is different than the audience at large.
Nothing is so terrible as a pretentious movie. I mean, a movie that aspires for something really terrific and doesn't pull it off is shit, it's scum. And everyone will walk on it as such. And that's why poor filmmakers, in a way, that's their greatest horror, is to be pretentious. So here you are, on one hand, it's trying to aspire to really do something. On the other hand, you're not allowed to be pretentious. And finally you say, fuck it. I don't care if I'm pretentious or not pretentious, or if I've done it or I haven't done it. All I know is that I am going to see this movie. And that for me, it has to have some answers. And by answers, I don't mean just a punchline. Answers on about 47 different levels. And it's very hard to talk about these things without being very corny. You use a word like self-purgation or epiphany, they think you're either a religious weirdo or an asshole college professor. But those are the words for the process, this transmutation, this renaissance, this rebirth, which is the basis of all life.
I think for me, really, everything I put into a film is based on the idea of me wanting to pay my £10 and sit in a movie theatre and watch that on screen. And that's really where I try to stick to that initial impulse of making a film that I want to see as a filmgoer.
I'm not doing it because I don't want to do the other. It's really because it's the way I feel like it's how I see things.
They said, what do you do? Why do you do this? And I don't know where it came from, but I sort of turned to the journalist in a flip kind of way. I said, I dream for a living. And years later, I realized, well, that's exactly what I do. I dream for a living.
An idea comes, and you see it, and you hear it, and you know it.
How does it come?
It comes like on a TV in your mind.
And so I want to make sure that the film I make gives people a good cinema experience. They're paying their money, they have a certain expectation of what they're going to receive for that, and just want to make a good escapist adventure movie.
I think for directors it's very important that you have patience. So if a film is like a woman, then to make it simple, you're attracted by this film, you're attracted by this woman, and you have to wait for her.
You do get a sense. You don't have to know how to make a movie. If you truly love cinema with all your heart, And with enough passion, you can't help but make a good movie. You don't have to go to school. You don't have to know a lens, you know, a 40 and a 50 and a fuck all that shit. Crossing the line, none of that shit's important. If you just truly love cinema with enough passion, and you really love it, then you can't help but make a good movie.
You just think differently than I do, and that's okay, you know, but I'm not wrong. You know, you can get filled with such fear, and it's really easy to just get your heart broken and kind of sort of beaten. You're sort of attempting to make films. I mean, it's a miracle anytime any one of them gets made, you know? It's a miracle, and it's a miracle every time. I feel like it's a miracle every time a scene kind of gets done and through the birth canal and done. I mean, it's never any less of a miracle or any less difficult.
Anybody who knows anything about movies knows that when a movie works, it's usually luck. You know, it's calculated. You know, you're trying to elicit a certain response, but when it really happens, it's a confluence of so many you know, different career paths all crossing over at exactly the right moment.
I am completely agree with all the obstacles and with all the enemies who are between me and what I want to do. I see that they cooperate. They are in a providential manner. They help me to do exactly what I want.
The fantasy is what we're doing now, right here in this room, with these lights and cameras and mirrors. Something else is existing there. I don't know what, but there's something happening that's not part of our normal day, literal nature of how we live, but we're trying to create something different.
Read. If you don't read, you will never make a great film. And I do have a mandatory reading list, but has nothing to do with cinema. It has to do with poetry, beginning Antiquity in Rome, Virgil, Georgics, about life in the country, about agriculture, or old Nordic poetry, or even the Warren Commission report on the assassination of Kennedy.
Was not just writing something. You know, if you write something, it's yours and you own it, and you can develop it how you like, and you need that. But I mean, you need to be able to control it so you're not replaced or something. But for me, it was actually shooting something that made it possible for me to get a film done.
Art is emotion. Therefore, the use of film, I say, putting it together and making it have an effect on an audience is, I think, the main function of film. Certainly, if you take dialogue in a film, truly you are only borrowing from the theater, which is what, as I've often said, most pictures you see are photographs of people talking.
I think it's wonderful when people like to discuss out of their own experience. If it is religious experiences or atheistic or moral or amoral experiences, it doesn't matter. If my pictures make people feel something, I think that's most important for me.
We don't really fill a pressing popular need. We try to create it. And if we didn't love movies as much as we do, if we weren't a little crazy on the subject, there wouldn't be any movies at all.